This is Mr. Pratt.
Okay. So why did you give up being a cop and decide to come be a theater teacher here at Waterford, Kettering?
I started studying theater at Michigan State, and my wife and I moved to New York for her to go to graduate school, and I just became a cop when I was there. Did that for a couple years. We decided to move back to Michigan, and I got the opportunity to work with a bunch of students at the school my wife taught at, teaching them theater, directing theater, and I saw all the really great things that it brought into those students' lives, and it was something special, and made me want to go back and get my teaching degree to teach theater.
Okay. Real quick, if you don't mind me asking, where'd your wife teach at?
She teaches at a school in Pinckney called Kensington Woods.
Okay. So has there ever been like any moment in time where you wish you could go back to being a cop, or like a moment in time where, you wish you could have stayed a little bit longer?
Sometimes, most recently, I was talking with a couple friends of mine and my old partner, and I was hired by the police department in 2005. And typically, at least in New York, you work for 20 years and then you retire. So I'd be coming up. I was hired in January of 2005. So had I stayed, I would be retiring in a couple months.
Okay.
So I regret that, but also, the work that I got to do in the community, and helping out in New York, in Brooklyn, was something that's really special that'll stick with me for a long time. So I missed those opportunities in New York. So.
Okay. So do you have like a favorite cop story to tell, like people, or like
favorite cop story,
or like a favorite moment of yours?
None that stick out that that I want to talk about necessarily, but just in general, being able to meet so many great people who lived in the community that I worked in, getting to interact with them on a daily basis, getting to know what their dreams were, what they wanted out of their communities, what they wanted out of their lives, and being able to, do my part to make sure that they had a safe environment to live, make sure that, the businesses were well represented and protected, and just try to make their lives better, just in general.
Okay, and so when you came here to Waterford, Kettering to be a theater teacher, what was your first initial reaction on becoming this sort of teacher?
I loved it. Yeah, from the beginning. It's theater's always been a passion of mine. Like I said, I graduated high school and went and studied theater at Michigan State. It's just the great things that the arts can do for people. Gives them a voice, gives them a creative outlet, gives everyone the ability to just improve their confidence and their ability to communicate with others. Is just something that's really special, and it reminds me of not just the great things that I love about theater, but also the things I was just talking about with policing. Just getting to be a part of some way to help people's lives be just a little bit better is something that's really fun.
Okay. So during your time here, has there ever been like any sort, like, I don't know how to like word it, like, has there any been like sort of like, let's say like a play that has like stuck out to you the most, or like a play that kind of like resembles like how you teach? Or
I mean, all of them. I mean, directing all the shows, I mean, I have a very open personality. I like to have a lot of fun. Like I like to get to know my students and have a good time with them. And, you know, I have this, it's cliche, but I say it a lot, that the theater is like family. And, you know, that's even more evident when we start working on any of the productions, because we spend so much time with each other. We take risks. We're vulnerable at times. We have a lot of inside jokes. You know, we get to be pretty close friends by the time their high school careers are over. And I have quite a few former students that I still talk to this day because of the experiences we've had together going through all of the productions. So there's not one that necessarily sticks out that kind of reminds me or represents my teaching, because they all kind of do, and they all like mesh together, I guess.
Okay, so to you, do you have like a favorite like play from any sort?
Favorite play I've ever done was Antigone. We had a great group of kids who just gave it everything they had, and they produced something really, really special. Something that people who came and saw it still talk about to this day, which makes me feel fun inside, because we created something that was memorable for the audience. Favorite musical would be probably Bright Star. Again, it was something that was, you know, the cast came together, created something that was really, really great, really well done. We were the first school in Michigan to present that particular show, and it was a little bit challenging for a lot of the kids, and they were able to rise up and you know, give a performance that was truly exceptional.
So I know like you guys just had like a recent cancellation of Matilda. How does that feel like whenever like you put like all this hard work in just for, you know, a specific show to be canceled?
Yeah, that's rough. It doesn't happen often. You know, there's a lot of extenuating circumstances that go into getting a production from page to stage. And unfortunately, we just kind of ran into a storm of a lot of things that went wrong. And, you know, we just ran out of time. So, you know, there's only so much you can do. We're kind of limited by the amount of time we're allowed to work on the material by the licensing companies. And you know, we ran out of time to present a show that we thought was indicative of you know, Waterford Kettering Drama Club's reputation.
Okay. So has there been, so what is the feeling of having a musical or play at Waterford Kettering, like once you guys finally do it, like in front of the public? How does it feel when it's finally done?
When I get to go home at the end of it, is that what you're asking? Yeah. You go through a mixture of emotions, and it depends on the day. I would say that probably the night that it's over and we take everything down and I go home and I can climb into bed and see my family again after a couple weeks of probably not seeing them at all, it's kind of relief. Like, oh, okay, that's over. That was a lot of work, and now we can put it to bed and go back to a little bit of normalcy. You know, but then the coming days after, you kind of have this letdown where you don't have rehearsals with the same group of students anymore. You're not working on the same thing that you've put so much effort and time and energy into. You know, it's a little bit sad, and we have this moment in theater where we kind of call it the post-show depression, where you just, you know, you don't really know what to do. But at the same time, that feeling you have is what drives you to do the next production. So, you go through a moment where you're relieved that it's over, and then you go through a moment where you're sad that it's over, and then you go through another moment where you're like, all right, let's do whatever's next. So you kind of go up and down.
Okay, so since you touched on that a little bit, has there ever been like a student that has came back to do more than 1 or 2 productions here?
Oh, frequently, yeah. But we like to tell students, once you do a production, you're hooked. It's really hard to not be involved in more than one. Usually, the only reason that keeps a student from doing more than one is if, the first one they do is the last opportunity of their high school career. So those seniors who jump in at the last moment before they graduate. Obviously they can't come back and do another show. Sometimes those students, will come back and help us build set on the weekends. They'll help us market the show. They usually come back and see the show, and they usually always say, "I wish I would have got involved sooner," so that they could experience what everybody else gets to experience multiple times.
Okay, so then one last question for you.
Sure.
If you could do one thing different in your life, what do you think that moment would be?
Ooh, that's a great question. If I could do one thing different in my life, nothing. I think my life has played out, differently than I planned from the beginning. I've had a lot of roads I've traveled. I've got a lot of ups and downs. I've done a lot of different things, but I wouldn't change any of it. Not a single thing. I think everything has worked out the way it was supposed to. I've experienced the things I've needed to experience, and it's led me to where I am today. And I have a great family. I have a great group of students that I get to work with, a great group of colleagues that I get to work with. I have 3 beautiful children, and everything's great.
Okay, and then if you could give out one piece of advice to students right now, future students, what would that one piece of advice be?
Find something you're passionate about and put all of your energy into it, whatever that be. Just be passionate about something and give it every ounce of energy you could possibly give.